Euromaxx highlights. And here's your host, Megan Lee.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to our highlight show featuring the best picks of the week. Here's a look at what's coming up. Lovely lingerie. London's Vienna Museum showcases underwear through the ages. Made to measure. We visit a luxurious house with a compact floor plan in Vienna. Personal playlist, how streaming services have changed our lives. We always love a good excuse to celebrate something or other here on Euromaxx, and what better occasion to raise a glass than on the anniversary of the German beer purity law. Now, not only does it define what a beer must be made of, it also states what brewers may not use. Well, the seal of quality was introduced 500 years ago, and it's not likely to change anytime soon. But nevertheless, in recent years, a host of new ideas have been brewing.
It's no secret that beer is a big part of German culture. Few countries have a higher per capita consumption. Thousands of different beers are brewed in Germany. The vast majority made solely from hops, malt, water, and yeast.
It's amazing what you can do with these four ingredients: yeast, wheat, hops, and water. The combinations of those, and all, there's just hundreds of brewing styles. Literally, and they've got this to a science, and there is variety within that.
For his documentary Beerland, U.S. filmmaker Matt Sweetwood traveled all across Germany. The film pays tribute to the country's love of the brew and Sweetwood's fascination with the many traditions and rituals involved.
Wenn man hier mit dem Prost macht, stößt man so.
Germany's brewing laws still apply 500 years after they were written.
The fact that the Reinheitsgebot is the oldest purity law in the world, and that the Germans took they went through the trouble of making this in the interest of protecting people, or this idea of creating a standard and creating order in a chaotic society. I guess it's not a bad thing.
The Duke of Bavaria introduced the beer purity law in 1516. Only hops, barley, and water were permitted. Yeast and wheat were later also permitted. The law kept illicit substances such as poison mushrooms and cherries out of beer, raised money with a tax on malt, and reserved rye and wheat for bread. The beer purity law applies across Germany, including here at the famous Holsten Brewery in Hamburg. Master brewer Ralf Gebhardt develops new recipes in Holsten's own microbrewery. He says the purity law still makes sense.
You get this great diversity of beers, solely through different processing of these same ingredients. And if you want good beer, you need a certain degree of craftsmanship.
Not everyone likes the stipulations. Critics say it makes the beers produced by the big breweries too similar, which is boring. And consumption of beer has indeed been falling for years in Germany. Breweries, big and small, have been expanding their ranges in response, with a growing number of more exotic concoctions similar to the craft beers popular elsewhere in the world. Oliver Wesselow is a master brewer and a world champion beer sommelier. He's constantly inventing new variations in his Hamburg brewery.
Germans are drinking less and less beer. Consumers don't care about this law. Since they only have the choice between Pilsner or wheat beer, they want the lowest priced product on the shelf. But when people rediscover the potential of beer, the enthusiasm will return, and they'll go get it the way people buy wine.
Currently, Oliver Wesselow has a range of 10 different brews, from the classic Pilsner to wheat beer, pale ale, and smoked beer. He picked up some beer brewing ideas while traveling around the Caribbean and North America. He uses only the finest ingredients and certainly does not restrict himself to just hops and malt. He's thinking about using fruit, spices, and even coffee.
It simply makes beer more interesting, and ultimately consumers can read. We have a law regulating the labeling of foodstuffs, and so if I use something else, I include it in the list of ingredients. And then everyone can decide for themselves. If it's a problem, people won't buy it.
Craft beers make up just 1% of the German beer market. With Pilsner the undisputed #1, the other big beer types in Germany remain the Helles, Kölsch, and wheat beer. Beer connoisseur Matt Sweetwood thinks that will remain so.
You don't change a successful recipe, you know. And I think the Reinheitsgebot doesn't only have a mark in history; it has a mark worldwide. It's like if you buy a DVD and it has an Academy Award on there, the Oscar, you're gonna buy it.
Whether the law makes sense today or is just a marketing ploy, the German beer purity law is part of Germany's cultural heritage, and it made German beer world famous.
Paris, London, and New York have done it, and now the Romans are doing it too, using street art to breathe new life into parts of the city. Well, an ambitious 500-meter-long frieze was unveiled in Rome on Thursday, showcasing the city's great victories and defeats over the centuries. Well, it runs along the river Tiber and is meant to make the area more attractive for both Romans and visitors alike. So let's see if it achieves this goal.
Shadows on the wall that come and go, just like the events in a city that's already more than 2,500 years old. Triumphs and Laments is the title of a new mural by William Kentridge beside the Tiber River in central Rome. A special performance marked the grand opening celebrations on Thursday. Thousands flocked to the usually empty banks of the Tiber to take in the new work of art.
We came especially from Athens to see this event.
It's a great idea. It's reviving an area that's otherwise hardly used.
Beautiful. I hope every Roman comes and sees it.
And this is how it looks by day. Roman history spread across a total of 500 meters. It's a dream come true for Kirsten Jones. She fought for 20 years to have this monumental artwork here on the Tiber. In 2003, she founded the initiative Tiber Eterno. It's an urban development project to regenerate the area around the Tiber River and make it more attractive.
We have called this place Piazza Tevere, and the idea is that it's a place for contemporary art, and that it's the cornerstone to the revival of the river. So our idea is to create a Tiber River Park and to have this as the place for free public programming, nothing commercial.
The 10-meter-tall figures depict a wide range of images from the city's history.
We have a non-chronological procession of figures from Rome's greatest tragedies and triumphs. And right here we have Daphne and Apollo, the phenomenal Bernini sculpture at the Villa Borghese Gallery. Most of these figures come directly from art historical resources. We put together a team of art historians who worked for across 3 years to collect these figures on a golden platter to offer to William to help him make a selection of these figures.
Even in ancient times, walls in Rome were painted or written on. The word graffiti even comes from Italian. Michelangelo's 16th century frescoes in the Sistine Chapel are some of Italy's most famous historic wall art. And while Rome is rich in classical art, the past decade has seen street art play a bigger role in many districts. Lots of pieces are officially commissioned, often by the city itself. In the past year, this social housing area in Tor Marantia in southern Rome has been decorated by artists from all over the world, not just to make it more beautiful, but also to revive a downtrodden area.
The residents have pulled together to develop a kind of culture tourism for the area. There are workshops for schools and guided tours by the residents through the revamped neighborhood. So there are also financial gains for the people here. They've created work for themselves.
The street art project has changed life here in Tormarancia.
I'm really pleased about it. So many people are coming here. I'm grateful. We're not a deprived area anymore. We made things better.
The wall art in Rome has breathed new life into rundown areas and given the people there a new sense of pride in their home.
When it comes to undergarments, there's been quite an evolution over the past 250 years. Many bits of underwear that never saw the light of day have morphed into fashionable bits of outerwear. Well, corsets, slips, bras, thermals, girdles, knickers, and strings, and let's not forget boxers and briefs. A new exhibition at London's Victoria and Albert Museum is emptying the undie drawer for closer examination.
Oxford Street in London's West End. Around 500,000 people walk down the famous shopping street daily, and they all have one thing in common. They're all wearing underwear. Well, most are.
It just depends on what I'm wearing. I mean, but most of the time I don't wear any anyway, so.
It has to feel good on me.
Yeah, I think there's a certain need, but I wouldn't go spending hundreds and thousands on underwear.
I love underwear, yeah.
London's renowned Victoria and Albert Museum is showcasing undergarments in the exhibition titled Undressed. It features over 200 pieces covering 2.5 centuries. From the French-style hooped petticoat to latex lingerie, from simple cotton wear for weekdays to handmade Brussels lace, to 18th and 19th century corsets. They all have something to say about each era's needs, morals, and ideas of beauty. This corset from 1890, for example. Aided by genuine whalebone, it slims the wearer's waist to a slender girth of 48 centimeters. X-ray images reveal just how much this fashion trend deformed ladies' rib cages.
A lot of people campaigned against the corset because they felt it wasn't good for a woman's body, and nor was it natural, and they felt the natural body was much more pleasing. So around the 1860s, encouraged by dress reformers, artists, doctors particularly, they started to develop what we know as the bra. It was called a bust supporter at the time, but it took time to catch on. So 1860, most women didn't start wearing bras until around the First World War, 1914.
The ongoing importance of underwear for women is reflected by this German corset from 1917. During the First World War, materials were in short supply, so it was partly made of paper. In the 1960s and 70s, more and more women rebelled against the dictates of restrictive morals and undergarments. Feminism and flower power valued freedom, and underwear was no longer de rigueur.
What you see now is this underwear of outerwear trend, and it starts in the 1970s. Magazines like Nova, which represented the kind of more forward-thinking young women, said if your bra strap shows, don't worry about it. If you don't want to wear a bra, but you do want to have some support, wear a vest. You can show a vest in public. And that's when it starts, when this division between what should be public and what should be private gets going. And of course, it's increased incrementally over the last 45 years. And today we don't bat an eyelid when we see a celebrity on a red carpet showing quite a lot of her body and revealing more through her garments.
Back to Oxford Street. In April, Selfridge's department store opened a new department for under apparel. It covers more floor space than any other in the time-honored establishment. And it includes an exclusive consulting service, as well as a cafe.
The lingerie department was traditionally tucked into a corner. We've really opened up the light, opened up the space, and we're reacting to customer shopping habits. We know that customers want to be sociable when they're shopping. They're not only coming in alone, it's really an extension of their wardrobe.
As undergarments have become sexier and more external, they've lost their scandalous potential, at least in the Western world. The only taboos left for them to break are no longer morals, but ideals of beauty. British label Neon Moon designs underwear for women of less than perfect build. Instead of numbers, the sizes have names like lovely and gorgeous. Although they show life as it really is, the ads have met with scathing criticism. Hayat Rachi founded Neon Moon in London in 2014.
What got on my nerves is basically the lingerie industry imposes a very narrow standard of beauty that women are like subjected and pressurized from a very young age that we're meant to look like. We're meant to be big boobed, big bum and very small waist and whatever the norms are at the time. And I feel like no, and that is the bottom line of it. Everyone should feel comfortable to be themselves.
The exhibition at the Victoria and Albert shows how closely undergarments have always been tied to ideals of physical beauty and feelings of inadequacy. Underwear is so much more than something we wear close to our skin.
Space in big cities is becoming more and more limited due to a growing population. And as a result, architects are required to come up with new ideas for smaller floor plans. Well, one architect's office in the Austrian capital, Vienna, designed a model home that projects a feeling of space despite the limitations. Here's a look.
Next to a block of suburban homes is an inconspicuous-looking garage door.
Welcome to my home. Come on in.
Inside is a bright, seemingly never-ending room without dividing walls and enclosed by exposed concrete. And no one can see in from the outside, an important factor for Alexander Gebhardt.
At the moment, I'm working an awful lot. So when I come home, I want to come home to somewhere with a red wine feeling. You should be able to come in and feel relaxed. It's somewhere for all the different pleasures in life.
A few steps up, there's the kitchen area. The workspace looks like a DJ's workplace.
That was the idea, and that's the inspiration for the project name, CJ5 rather than DJ from Cooking J. And since I really like cooking and cook very elaborately when I have guests, I want to be able to keep communicating with my guests. So I got the idea of building it into the landing.
Every single corner here is utilized.
We set out to create optimum functionality in a minimal space. You pull that up, you push it in, and you have more or less everything you need. I'm a tea drinker, so to cut out the need for a kettle, I installed an instant boiling water tap. I pull the switch out, turn the whole thing, and in 2 seconds, it reaches 100 degrees Celsius. Minimalist, but very functional.
A little higher up, there's a bedroom with a small ensuite bathroom. The bathtub has been sunk into the floor to save space. The owner loves the view from up here.
I've got a few special things that you don't notice. The windows behind me are built in such a way that when they're open, the sun shines directly onto my bed in the morning. I wake up bathed in sunlight.
From the bedroom, a corridor leads onto a terrace. The roof of his low-energy house is equipped with solar panels. There's also plenty of space to relax outdoors. The house is very versatile and has over 150 square meters of living space, although it's only 5 meters wide. Alexander Gebhardt often entertains friends.
This is where my drinks fridge is hidden. It has the advantage that people don't have to go rummaging around in my regular fridge.
The cellar doubles as a private cinema and party venue. Alexander Gebhardt has thrown quite a few parties here and has already had to replace a white carpet. The CJ5 on the edge of Vienna. Outside, it keeps a low profile, but inside, it's both elegant and practical.
It's hard to believe it, but the commercial music streaming site Spotify is now 10 years old. The Swedish company has created a model for providing access to music, which made it the global market leader with around 30 million paying subscribers worldwide. So what's the key to the company's success? We talked to a tech expert for some answers.
Streaming services are great for people who listen to lots of music. They offer everything from the latest hits to evergreens. There are millions of songs to choose from. To help users find the ones they like, services provide recommendations, like a personalized mix of the week. Most of these playlists are generated automatically using algorithms. Stefan Baumann from the German Research Center for Artificial Intelligence knows how recommendation systems work. He's been researching the topic for over 15 years. There are different approaches to generating automated recommendations. One is content analysis, which breaks a piece of music down into its individual components.
The system tries to find out what is on each individual track. On the bass here, you can see where notes are played and where they're not. The structures are automatically analyzed in this way. A content-based approach can use this information to find similar songs with a similar bass line.
Another approach, collaborative recommendations. Your taste in music is compared with that of other users. Algorithms are suited to generating these kinds of recommendations, but the results aren't always convincing. Baumann says the human touch is still required.
We can use algorithms and machines to make a preliminary selection from the flood of good new music coming out around the world. But in the end, it's still missing human expertise and savviness about current trends. This knowledge is something only people have.
Like Julia Nolte. She's a playlist curator who puts together digital mixtapes at Digster. She thinks users benefit from having a human curate their playlist.
When a brand new song has just been released, we can react right away and add it to our playlist. Or if we feel that a newcomer is really great, but still a complete unknown to our machine, we can just give him or her a prominent place on our playlist.
Video streaming services are also growing in popularity. 1 in every 5 Germans uses them to watch TV series and films. Here too, collaborative recommendations aim to match users' tastes. But the video platforms still rely on human input too. Some streaming services regularly put pilot episodes for a variety of series on the internet. Only the ones with high user ratings actually go into production. Julia Nolte also receives many tips from the online community. She trusts real users more than computer algorithms.
The algorithm also recommends music. Yesterday you listened to this song, so you might like this one. But it doesn't always hit the bullseye. Maybe I just played that tune yesterday on a whim.
It's a problem that streaming services are already working on. They're also hoping to tailor recommendations to the user's current situation.
I listen to music while I'm jogging. I listen to music while I'm partying in my living room and while I'm driving. I'm constantly switching between different duties and areas in my life. And a big trend in recommendation systems right now is that they're adding a new dimension, time. The hope is that we'll be able to deliver better recommendations because we can optimize them for the listener's context.
But to do that, streaming services require even more data, which means users must divulge more information about themselves. So maybe more conventional playlists are the better alternative.
And with that, we wrap up another week of Euromaxx. As always, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you again next week.